Imagine yourself laying on the beach, drinking margarita, and knowing that everything is in its right place. Processes are clear, you have no email clutter, all payments are made on time, and you're within the budget. No alarms and no surprises. And that is exactly what we're going to discuss today. Hi, everyone. For our new webinar, let me turn off this background real quick. Now we're back to the home office. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar. Let me just start sharing the screen and we could kick off from here. You should be able to see my screen now. All right. I hope you enjoyed this little performance of mine. Hi and welcome to our new webinar, Tips and Tools to Running a World-Class Remote Accounts Payable Team. Let me first introduce myself. So now it should be fine. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Alex Kesselman. I'm a solution engineer here at ApprovalMax, and today I will be your host, just as usual, for any other webinars as well. Let's first of all take a look on today's agenda. So what we're going to discuss today. Yeah, that's correct. Sorry about this. I just have several screens and just make sure that the slide is the correct one. So first of all, let's talk about going paperless. I believe most of us actually had been working from home for some time. Well, actually, I believe all of you have been working from home for at least some time. But did we learn how to make this process effective? So let's find out. That would be our first topic. Then we'll talk about 3 cornerstones of an efficient remote accounts payable team. Some of the tips and tricks how we can make that effective. Afterwards, I will go into the practical session and I will show you how ApprovalMax works, how you can configure simple or complex workflows in just a few simple steps. At the end, we'll have a Q&A section where I'll or some of my colleagues will answer all of your questions. However, feel free to ask your questions along the way in the Q&A section of Zoom. You will find that on the bottom of your screen or elsewhere, and we'll be able to answer those at the end. This session, as you might notice, is being recorded, so we will send you the link to the recording within the next 24 hours. And let's get started, I believe. The whole session will take for about 30 minutes of your time, so bear with me for that time, and we can go ahead with our today's topic. And we'll start with the poll. So I want to know, what is your situation at the moment? Are you based in the office? Are you working remotely? Perhaps you're using hybrid model and working several days from home and several days from the office. Or maybe you're based in the office, but due to some regulations or whatever reasons, you're sitting at home right now. So let me know in the poll section. My colleagues should have started that. Let me see if we have it. No, we've done it. So let me launch it. All right, so I've started the poll, so you should be able to answer the question. That will help me understand where we're at the moment. All right, so the votes are being distributed from base to the office to the remote and using hybrid model mainly. Most of the people are working remotely. Perfect. We are having a match here. I've been working remotely for the past 3.5 years already before it became a trend. So let's wait for a few more minutes just to make sure that everyone made their decision. I'll be drinking my margarita. Okay, I see that everyone answered the poll, and most of the people, let me put it here so you can see that yourself. Most of the people are working remotely, and that's great for our today's topic because we are going to discuss exactly that. All right, end poll, and let's close this one, and let's go with the next topic for us. So for the past 2 years, a lot of us actually been working from home remotely. Now we cannot simply print out our financial documents and go through the office, find the person to approve that, our manager, so he will put the ka-ching, like a real stamp, red stamp approved on the document. Most of us went paperless. However, Going paperless doesn't mean exactly that it's going to be effective. There is actually a lot of things needs to be included to make it effective. And when you have a remote team, the processes shall be organized in a such way that everybody knows what's going on without actually constantly pinging each other. Your team needs a single source of information and all the documents and processes. At the same time, manual tasks shall be automated in a way that you won't need to do that over and over again by yourself. All of the routine manual things can and shall be automated actually. So take a look on some of those automation tools that will forward every of your single request to the right person, and that will be based on the rule that you've created. You, on the other hand, can free up your time and make something really important task rather than be doing those routine manual things by your own. So everything could be done much more efficient. All right, so let's see what are the key elements of success for an efficient remote accounts payable team. And the first one, and that might sound very obvious one, it's using the cloud software. Most probably you're already using one. By the way, let me know in the chat section which accounting software you're using at the moment, because we see a lot of people are coming to these webinars using desktop apps and desktop accounting software, and they're just willing to switch their accounting software to things like Xero or QuickBooks Online. Or if you're using Xero or maybe QuickBooks Online, let me know in the chat section. So, though most of us, I believe, will be using Xero as our cloud accounting system, since you came here to this webinar, I still think it is important to be mentioned that again and again. Only with a platform that's serving as a single source, and that should be a decentralized source of truth, you'll be able to properly control your expenses and organize efficient workflows for your accounts payable team. So using a cloud accounting tools like Xero, enhanced with an appropriate app stack, will eliminate data silos and provide you with both a clear picture of the company spending and the real-time overview of the business. So that's one part of that. I see that there's a lot of people saying Xero, but a few Sage clients, Xero. Yeah, so as I thought, most of you are using Xero. That's perfect. So though it's obvious advice, still it's worth to be mentioned over and over again. The second part would be our OCR tools, or different ways how we can digitize our invoice. And the reason why I've included this slide here, because the biggest clutter of all of the accounts payable process are actually staying in the not efficient way how we can input our data. So a lot of companies are actually manually input data into their system, printing them out, and it just takes a lot of time. So all in all, the cost of processing invoices manually is just much higher than doing that digitally. We have one of our case studies with auto entry, a customer from Australia. Once he applied auto entry to his process, and then he's also included ApprovalMax to make the process happen, they've saved around 39,000 Australian dollars in a year just by adding these OCR tools. So that is quite an easy fix. You need to just simply calculate amount of time you spent on manual entry and just see what is the price for the OCR tools, and you'll see what is the value over there. So it doesn't really matter which tool you're actually using, HubDoc, AutoEntry, Dex, Data Molino, or any other OCR tools that there is on the market. If it can be connected to your accounting software like Xero, then in that case, we will be able to work with such tools on ApprovalMax side. And that is actually our third topic, which is defined automated authorization process. When your organization grows, its spend control process becomes more complex. Without a clear authorization policy in place, that complexity will eventually cause confusion, inefficiency, and delays. So take some time to compose a document that will clearly show which and every person can or cannot approve. Specify who is responsible for approving particular types of expenses, which amounts are to be approved by several stakeholders, and which can be approved automatically. So for example, if you already have some authorization policy in place, but you still find a lot of bottlenecks, take some time to look at the process and perhaps divide it into several parts. Let's say your CEO is approving most of the things, but he just don't have any time to do that. Therefore, maybe it will be a great idea to share his responsibility with some other people in the team. So let's say we have some head of departments, then we might provide some additional information to CFO, CMO, and only if it's reaching certain limit, only then CEO might join the game and also make his approval process. So an automation approval app actually takes a lot from your shoulder. With ApprovalMax, for example, you can set up a complex or very simple multi-step and multi-tiered approval workflow that will work without any human intervention. Just made it once, and automatically, once a financial document will hit your automation process, people who is involved in the process will receive notifications from us. They will receive reminders to approve things. So process will go forward without any intervention. So that is three major points, three major cornerstones of an efficient remote AP team. Here are some of the reviews that our customers made about ApprovalMax when they've added this software, but I would like to give you another story from one of our South African partners. Around a year ago, they came to us, they've purchased a setup and training package, and they wanted us to build a workflow for them. And basically what happened there, this South African partner working with the farms across all Africa, across all the continent. And the typical time for them to make just one decision usually would be around 2 weeks. Just imagine you're going to the grocery store, you want to buy bread and milk, and you're waiting in line for 2 weeks just to purchase these groceries. And then you go to the cashier and he's looking at your list saying, oh, you want chocolate milk? Okay, that's not for me. You should go to another person. He'll make this purchase for you, and you'll stay in a line for another 2 weeks. That is exactly what's been happening to this particular client. And once they've implemented workflow, and that was a very, very complex workflow. So they had around 150 people included into the approval process. Each person has their own set of rules. And once we've mapped it out, once we've made this workflow, once they start using that, time from making this decision reduced from 2 weeks just to 3 to 4 hours. So more than 90% of reduction in making the approval decisions, which makes, from the money perspective, they've actually started to make much more money, comparing that to the price of Xero, comparing that to the price of ApprovalMax, and to the price of the OCR tool they start using. From the approver standpoint, it's actually, they will say thank you because most of the things you can do within the mobile app, which is available for both iOS and Android. One situation that happened just recently, one of our clients from Australia, he got positive result on Corona, so he'd been quarantined at his home. Most of the time he was spending outside of his house in pool on the backyard, so pretty much laying down in the pool, drinking his martini or margarita, and just from the palm of the hand, approving things, raising purchase orders, and doing all of the work. So he didn't need to go into next to his laptop to do the work. It's very, very convenient, especially for those of you who's working on the construction side, or maybe property management, or maybe event industries. When you simply don't have any access to your laptop, you can do the whole thing from the mobile app. Raise the purchase orders, approve, build a PO matching, look at all of the attachments, all of that is included. So let's give it a second. Let's give a minute for today's sponsor. With thousands of clients across the globe, twice an App Partner of the Year, ApprovalMax is an all-in-one place for all of your accounts payable and accounts receivable processes. With the features like separate workflow for purchase orders, bills, credit notes, sales invoices, bill to PO matching, budget checking, customized reports, and much more, we are gradually coming to the main part, which is our practical session. So let's take a look on the demo and the way we would actually build our workflows and the way it will look like from the user perspective. So just a second, let me stop sharing this screen and I will reshare that one. So what I want to start with is a simple explanation of what is workflows in the first place. So consider a workflow as your organizational chart. Take some time, maybe take a piece of paper and just write down who should approve what, and then you can just replace that with an automated system. So basically, if I'll take a look right now on my bill creation, review, and approval workflow, what we'll see here, it's pretty much two screens. We need to divide the screen into two parts. On the left side, that would be all the different ways how you can create your bills or streamline your bills. So for example, you're using HubDoc and you're willing to apply ApprovalMax into your process, then simply put a document from HubDoc into awaiting approval status in 0, and we will be able to pull that data automatically and run through your approval steps. That's one way. The other way would be to simply create a bill in ApprovalMax. So you can provide a list of your requesters, people who will be able to raise bills in that case, or purchase orders, it doesn't really matter. And then you can go into the requesters matrix and provide rules on what each and every person can or cannot do within this matrix. So let's say Marco Polo is only allowed to raise bills for these 3 suppliers: ApprovalMax, Cambridge Audio, and DJI. On the other hand, Franz Kafka here, he can only raise bills for marketing and sales department, which is my tracking category, and only with these 3 GL codes, which makes perfect sense, especially for those people who have no idea what is accounting, who have no idea what are the account codes are. So we can simply limit those people to certain areas, certain codes that they'll be using most of the time. Once that is done, click on done, and we are set to go. We are set to raise our bills within the system. Or there is a third way how we can deal with that. We can simply use our Dext Prepare integration. So we are partners with Dext, and if you are working with Dext, by the way, let me know in the chat section which OCR tool you're using, if any, or if you plan to add some additional tools. So I could give you some tips on the way it will work, maybe on the Dext side and maybe on the HubDoc side. So with Dext, we have a direct integration, meaning that once your invoice gets digitized, rather than you'll be putting that into awaiting approval status in 0, you can simply publish that straight into ApprovalMax. It will run through your approval steps. Your approvers will receive notifications. Once we'll collect all of the decisions, only then this request will go into 0 under awaiting payment. So in a sense, you will have a clear sequential flow, Dext ApprovalMax 0, and you will only have clean data that is reaching your accounting software, your general ledger. So only approved documents will be there. So that's one way. I see that chat is. So yeah, HubDoc, we use Dext, HubDoc and Dext. Why would you need Dext if you're connected to 0? Well, that's a good question. Dext is just an OCR tool which will allow you to extract the data from an invoice. It's just for automation. However, it might be that you might want to use simply HubDoc, which is included into 0. Both options are absolutely possible. There is no limitation on using HubDoc or Dext. You can actually use them simultaneously. I have an account both in Dext and I have an account both in HubDoc, and both of them will work in exactly the same way. The only difference here would be that with HubDoc, you will need to publish your invoice into awaiting approval status first, and that's when we will pick it up automatically. With Dext, it will go directly into ApprovalMax. Okay, so that's on the left side. On the right side, we will find our approval steps. So if we've mapped out everyone from our team, we can go ahead and create our approval steps. In my case, I already have my, first of all, auto approval step, which will include all of the things that I don't want my approvers to be bothered with. Let's say here I have rules for everything that is less than 30 pounds. I want it to be automatically approved. So all of the small purchases, I don't care. Then I have my utility bills automatic approval step, which is for everything that is less than 300 pounds. If it belongs to the account code light, power, and heating, should also be automatically approved. I don't want to bother my approvers on those. And we can add as many steps as we need to, as many rules as we need to. There is no limitation on that. And then we're going to the actual approval steps. So I have 2 approval steps at the moment, head of departments and C-level approval. Within each of my approval steps, I have different people approving different things. So if I'll go into my approval matrix right now, I will see that each person mapped to certain areas. For example, Chris can only approve things that are over or equal to 100 pounds, only if it's been coded to the CSM department, and only if it contains one of these 4 GL codes. Same goes for Jim. He can only approve things that are over or equal to 100 pounds for the product department, and so on, so on. So each person here have its own set of rules and permissions. Then I have my C-level approval, where I have a bit different set of rules. Mike is approving everything that is over or equal to 10,000 pounds if department does not match IT, or if amount is over or equal to 30 grand, and if department matches IT and it includes this account code, then it will also go to Mike, or if it's more than 100,000 pounds, and if the GL code matches salaries, then it will also go to my senior level management. Then what if I would like to add something in between? Simply click on a plus sign and it will create an additional approval step for you. There is no limitation on amount of approval steps. You can add as many as you want to. I've seen examples, customers creating 1 approval step, and I've seen examples, customers creating 30 approval steps, which is the craziest one. And they've mapped out pretty much everything they could think of with many, many exceptional rules. So that is up to you to decide which chart, which organizational chart you want to build here. It's very agile in a sense. You can create as many things as you need to. So now once we've created approval step, drag it whenever you want to. So let's say it will be in between head of departments and C-level approval. Give it a name. It's not mandatory, but it will be just easier for you later on to manage all of your steps. Once we have a step, we need to add our approvers. So let's say we want to add Veronica, we want to add Tim, and we want to add, let's say, Kate under the legal department. And then again, we'll go into our approval matrix where we'll define specific rules per each of our approvers. Let's say all of them can approve only if it's over or equal to 3,000 pounds, not under, over. Kate will be approving everything that belongs to the account. Let's say interest income. Tim will be approving everything that belongs to the audit and accountancy fees. And Veronica will be approving everything except for these two. So I'll create a rule account does not match. And I will select interest income and audit and accountancy fees. Just like that, within a couple of seconds, we've created a step, we provided our approvers, and we gave them permissions on what they can or cannot approve. Click on done, update the workflow, and we are ready to go. We are ready to see how it's going to look like from the user perspective. By the way, let me know in the chat section which request type you're thinking to automate. Is it purchase orders you're looking for, bills, credit notes? Because maybe I'm wrong showing you the bill creation workflow. Maybe it will be better to go into the purchase order side. Let me know. While you're doing that, what I'll do, I'll go into my Dext account because I've already prepared a bill over there, and I will publish that so you will see the way it will look like from the user perspective. So there's no comments yet. All right, so let's go into Dext and see the way it will look like. Okay. So as I mentioned, doesn't really matter which tool you're using, Dext, HubDoc, or just manually entering the data. I'll be showing that on my Dext account just because I already have this one. I've already prepared the document here, and I'm already ready to publish that. So basically what is happening, if you're not familiar with Dext, once we'll publish a document, it will automatically extract all the data from it. And basically the only thing that you will need to do is to click on publish. So let's do that. What's the problem? All right, I've already done that before, so it's exactly the same document I'm using over and over again, and now it's showing me that I cannot use duplicate, but I have a hack here. So I'll add a new document. I will just manually add all the necessary information. Doesn't really matter what I'm doing at the moment, it's just for the test. So let's use, for example, February, what is 23rd? Okay, ApprovalMax Germany GmbH. Well, I see that there's a first thing. Can you scan documents into Dext or send via email? Yes, you can. So there is actually a few ways how we can do that. You can either just simply upload that, drag and drop your image into Dext, or you have an email address here, like in my case, a.kesselman@dext.cc, and it will be automatically, you can send your invoice into this email and your document will be automatically extracted. So I was using just drag and drop, but for you to decide which option is the preferred for you. All right, so let's say this one is for webinar 2302. For the due date, let's say it's gonna be the end of February. For the category, let's say it's gonna be general expenses. Our tracking category for the product department, I will use another currency just for the sake of example, and maybe let's say that this one is for 12,000. I'm just making this up. So publish, now it should be fine, hopefully. Let's see. Hooray, now it's being published. And what will happen at that point of time? Once we'll publish a document from any of these tools, Dext, HubDoc, is just 0, we will automatically pull that into ApprovalMax, and the person who is allowed to approve that will receive notification from us. Notification that will look like this one. Let me zoom in a little bit. So, hello Marco, bill webinar 2302 from ApprovalMax was submitted via Dext. I will see my line items, things that I'm approving. If there was any attachments, like original invoice, that one that we've sent to Dext or to any other system, we will be able to take a look on the attachment from here. We will be able to reject or approve this document straight away from an email, so we won't need to log into our account. That is one way. The second way would be via mobile app. You will receive push notification. You can click on this one. It will show you the request. You can click on approve or reject. Same thing. And then there is a third way how we can deal with that. And that is actually a very important one, because what will happen when we log into our account? Let me log out real quick, and I'll log in with another account of mine, with my user account. So what will happen when we log into our account? A first screen that person will see when he logs into his account, it calls requires my decision. And why is it so important? Let's say you're working with many zero entities or many workflows. So I've seen some of you are working with as a partner with many customers. So if you're working with many customers and you are an approver in all of those organizations, rather than you'll be going into the main menu and selecting which organization you want to work with at the moment, first screen requires my decision will include all of the requests that are pending your approval. So in my case, I've logged in as Franz Kafka, and here under my requires my decision, I can see that I've received the bill, the one that we've sent via Dext. I can see that I have a bill from ApprovalMax sent via Zero. I can see the bill that was created by Marco Polo, and so on, so on. Things from Riva Scholl Group, things from Monty Python, from Marco Polo Accounting. All of these requests will be just under one screen. You don't need to go anywhere else. Now let's take a look on the request itself. So here on the right side, we'll see that it's been submitted via Dext Prepare. Straight away from here, I can either reject or approve this request, but also I can go a bit down here and see some additional information. First of all, my line items. If everything looks fine to you, we can scroll a bit down here. We'll find our attachments, and we can see that either in full screen or in side-by-side view to compare apples to apples and pairs to pairs. Then, if we'll scroll a bit down here, we'll find our budgets. So if you're using Zero Budget Manager, we will be able to sync those budgets into ApprovalMax, so your approvers in real time will be able to compare your budgets against the request that they're approving. Like in my case, I have a product department budget, and I have a budget for the general expense account code of 315,000 pounds. Amount of this bill is 12 grand, so my status is fine. If I'm closer to the limit, it will show me like a yellow sign. And if I'm over the budget, it will show me the red sign, meaning that I'm probably over the budget. So I should make some adjustments, or maybe I should reject this bill and reallocate budgets maybe for another month. If I want to dig into the numbers, I'm able to click on the budget itself. So then I can see what actually happens as a full picture. So what is my full budget for the full period of time? 330,000 pounds. I have my remaining budget. I have how many bills were already approved, how many of them are on approval, and same goes for the purchase orders. Or I can see that month by month and see where I've spent the most. Like in this case, I haven't spent anything at all except for February. Therefore, it might be an indication for me if I would like to reallocate some budgets from the previous months to that month. Then, if you're working, let me see, by the way, all right, I see that there's questions coming in. I will answer those at the end of the session. So what I want to mention here, if you're going to use the purchase order automation and you're willing to raise the purchase orders and you want to have even better spend control, you will be able to do the matching purchase orders against the bills. And the way it works, basically, it's not only one-to-one matching, it's more like one bill to many POs, or vice versa, one PO to many bills. And if you have a purchase order that corresponds to that bill by the supplier and the currency, we will show you the list of all the POs that can be applied to that. So let's say I have a PO to ApprovalMax raised by Marco Polo. Click on done, and I will see that this bill is matched to the purchase order. I have a link to that. In my case, the bill amount is exceeding the amount of the purchase order, so it's showing me in red, and that will be some sort of an indication for me. Maybe I should not approve this bill, or maybe it's fine that it's exceeding this amount. So that's for me to decide. Or I can set it up in the settings. So we have settings for bill to PO matching. And then here on the bottom, I will find my actual approval workflow, where this particular request is at the moment and where it will go to next. So now it's under head of departments. and both Jim, Franz Kafka, and Marco Polo needs to make their decision. Once they'll do that, it will go to the legal department. Once Veronica will approve it, it will go to the C-level approval, and only then it will go into our zero account under awaiting payment status. But let me show you one thing, what will happen after the final approval. If I'll take a look on the bills that were approved, we'll see here on the top that per each of our requests that were approved, we are generating a thing called the audit report. That is a document of proof that certain people within our organization actually made their decision. Like this one, if we'll take a look on the approval log, Marco Polo, as organization administrator, made his decision as forced approval on 23rd of February at 9:46 a.m. The same document will be automatically sent into your zero account. So let's, for example, take a look on the bills to pay. And here we'll find that each document that is under awaiting payment status. Take some time to load. All right, so each of my documents here under awaiting payment status have two attachments. One would be the original invoice that we've sent from one of our OCR tools or whatever, or we just manually added that. And another one would be our approval audit report. So that's the way it works. Okay, so let me stop sharing this screen and I'll share this one once again. So that's on the user perspective. And basically, the last slide would be, if you haven't yet started your free trial, give it a try, go to our website, you will start your 14 days free trial so you can play around with all of the features that is included into the product and see if that brings the value for your organization, if you actually will automate the process and make everyone's life much easier and happier. That's it. So we're coming to the Q&A section. I've seen that there was a few questions. So let me stop sharing the screen and we'll take a look on your questions. Melissa is asking, so can you confirm the GL accounts are populating indexed from zero? That is correct, absolutely correct. So basically all of the values that you see in, like for example, my account, or that will you see in your account, it is purely taken from your zero organization. So all of the suppliers, all of the tracking categories, all of the GL codes, items that you're purchasing, it is all the values from your zero account. And Dext, ApprovalMax, and zero have the connection in between. So if you've changed something on zero, it will appear in your Dext account and in ApprovalMax account. The next question is, what if you have a different budget for a specific tracking category? We have 13 departments and 13 budgets. No problem at all. You can build as many budgets per each of your department. And once an invoice or purchase order will be streamlined into ApprovalMax, we will show you only corresponding budget that is applies for that particular request. Let's say we've sent an invoice for sales department with the GL code, I don't know, general expenses. That will be the only budget that will be shown to your approvers. And you can add as many budgets as you need to. There is no limitation. I see my camera is about to turn off, so don't be worried if I'll suddenly disappear from the video, but my audio is still working. Okay, the next question is, can you limit what GLs certain users see like in ApprovalMax? Yes, of course. Let me actually show that to you on the example. So when we are creating our workflows, let's go back here. Oh, yeah, that's another account of mine. So users don't have access to workflows. That's great news. Oh, indexed, not sure about it. I would actually suggest to ask Dex team about this one. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure indexed, you cannot limit users to certain areas. They can provide data whenever they need. But actually, users don't even need to have access to Dext at all. You basically can just give an email address where they can send their invoices to, and your accountant or person who is responsible for coding, they will be able to add the account codes to those invoices. So hope that answers your question. In ApprovalMax, it is possible. In ApprovalMax, it is possible to limit users to certain GL codes. The next question is, does ApprovalMax also integrate with stock management software, for example, Unleashed or Deer? Great question. Actually, at the moment, we do not have integration with Dext or with Deer or Unleashed, though we can still work with them via Zero. So Zero becomes sort of like a central hub. But we actually receive a lot of feedback in regards to the Deer inventories management tool, and we do have planned to make this integration sometime in the future. I don't have any ETAs for you at the moment, unfortunately, but this is something that we are considering to do in probably this year. So stay tuned. We'll make sure to send you a newsletter once it is done. George is asking, can match multiple bills with multiple POs? Great question. It is a beta feature. If you want to match many bills to many POs, it is possible. Just drop us a line, drop our support team a line. They will enable this beta feature for you, and then you will be able to allocate certain amounts from PO to bill and vice versa, and you will be able to match many bills to many POs. Sometime soon it will become available for the general public, but still, if you want to give it a try, oh, I see my camera is died. Anyway, let me start another one. I have several cameras here from my laptop. So yeah, it is possible. Drop us a line. We'll be able to enable that for you for your account. I hope that answers your question as well. Any additional questions before we'll jump off the meeting? All right, seems like there is no more questions. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar. I see we've almost gotten time. Oh, I see the last question. What is the best approach to partial payment against POs? Well, in ApprovalMax, there is no, well, for partial payments, you mean more of the matching, right? So if you receive the bill for a less amount than the purchase order, it's no problem at all. You can actually match as many invoices to your PO as you need to. And that is actually a very, very common example when users are, well, companies are raising PO at the beginning of the year, and then their suppliers send an invoice once a month that they're fulfilled partially request. And you can match those invoices over and over and over again, adding more and more bills to that PO up until the moment you've reached the limit. Then you can mark it as billed, and that's it. You won't be able to match any additional bills to that. Sure, absolutely. We do have a video on the matching. Let me actually show that to you. So there is a lot of useful resources that we can share with you if you want to understand some additional information. More than that, each week I'm doing a weekly webinars explaining how things works, how you set up the workflows, and so on. So it will be quite the same process as we've seen it today. However, there is still some additional details that we are covering over there. However, if you want to learn something new, click on the question mark here right next to your avatar. You will find, first of all, a link to our knowledge base, and we have articles for pretty much everything we've discussed today and even much, much more. We have our how-to videos, our YouTube channel with step-by-step instructions. On our website, you can find guides for administrators, approvers, requesters, auditors that will show you sort of like an instruction for how to create workflows, how to approve things, how to do bill to PO matching, much, much more. In addition to that, there is a button Contact Support. Our support team working 24 hours, 5 days a week. They'll be more than happy to assist you with any of the technical questions that you might have. And if you'll start a free trial, you will find on the bottom of the screen, there will be a chat section. So if you need some urgent help, our support team will be able to help you out within the chat. So there is lots of useful resources alongside with the webinars and different trainings. So feel free to use all of them. It will provide you a lot of useful information. Addy is asking, great, thanks. What is single small pricing? Oh, so regarding the pricing, great question. So let me open the, no, not this one. Let me open ApprovalMax /pricing. Just to give you a bit of a understanding of the way pricing works, there is no limitation on amount of users. There is no limitation on amount of financial documents you're willing to process. You can add as many as you need to. You can process as many as you want to. The whole pricing model is purely based on amount of organizations you're willing to onboard. So let's say you have 50 organizations. Therefore, you will need 5 ApprovalMax licenses. Then you'll need to decide on the plan. So we have standard, advanced, and premium plans. Standard plan will include all of these workflows: purchase order, credit notes, bills, sales, invoices, DEX integration, bill to purchase order matching, reports, and mobile app. So that is all included into standard package. Let me show that to you in the monthly basis. And it's going to cost £32 per month. Then with an advanced plan, you will receive all of that, but also budget checking, auto approval step, and contact supplier creation workflow. That is included into advanced plan, and that costs £52. And then there is a premium plan, which will include all of these, but also as standalone workflows that can be used for pretty much anything you can think of, like travel reimbursement, HR process, whatever approval process you want to include, that could be done via standalone workflows. They're not connected to your accounting software, and you can use that as a sandbox. And then there is also priority support. So your time for first response from our support team will be reduced from 8 hours to 2 hours. And you'll also have a chance to have a phone support. So if something urgent needs to be resolved, you can always give us a call. And now you can just simply play around with how many organizations you're willing to add, and you will see the price for all of these organizations. If you're adding more than 5 organizations at once, you will receive an additional discount of 15%. Also, if you're a non-for-profit organization, you can apply for additional 20% discount. And if you decide to go with an annual contract, you will also receive an additional 17% discount. So in this case, let's say for one organization, if we're talking about the advanced plan with an annual contract, you will pay 43.33 multiplied by 12. That will be your price for the full year for one organization. Okay, I hope that answers the question on the pricing. So let's see what else we have here. Very useful and encouraging. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining today's webinar. I really appreciate your time staying with me. I hope that was some useful information. Sorry, it's already evening, so my brain is getting off. So anyway, you'll receive the recording within the next 24 hours. Thank you for attending. Have a lovely rest of the day, and bye-bye. Oh, what are the current non-zero integrations? So yeah, added last question before I drop off. So the current integrations are with Xero and with QuickBooks Online, and we are also finalizing a new integration with NetSuite. So if some of your customers or yourself is working with NetSuite, it's going to be available sometime soon. All right, thanks. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.